Good day, YouTubers. Thanks for joining me. This is video 39 in my series of videos on Ontario Northland models and HO scale. And today we're taking a look at Rapido lightweight coaches. Now, Rapido produced these lightweight coaches in the mid-2000s. Specifically, they were advertised in the 2006 editions of the Canadian Railway Modeler magazine. And the advertisement was for Canadian Model Trains, who appears to have commissioned Rapido for a production of both of the Ontario Northland paint schemes that we've become accustomed to seeing. First off, this classic original green paint scheme in the foreground, as well as the later white, yellow, and two-tone blue stripes. But talking about these classic green cars here first. So there were 7 road numbers made available, and the advertisement identifies that the production was going to be limited to 75 copies of each car. So here we've got car number 830. Now the 830 series cars represented cars that the Ontario Northland Railway had acquired used from the Norfolk and Western Railway back in 1971. These cars were originally 1941 Pullman products, and while the window spacing and some of the details are a little bit different, these are actually pretty good representation of what those cars looked like, in my opinion. The paint scheme looks great. It is accurate that you've got that yellow pinstripe on the bottom line of the frame there, as well as the roof line. And you've got the provincial crests over each truck, and this the streamlined piece here on either end of the car below the frame that is accurate to how these cars appeared. And you've got that Rapido metal etched end gate there at the end of the car. Despite the fact that these cars are already 15 or so years old, they still represent the beautiful job that Rapido does with the detail on their cars. And they always joke that their cars often look better upside down because they do a great job accurately capturing all of the plumbing and the infrastructure that falls below the car. So this is car 830. The other car that I have in the foreground here is 831. And the other cars produced were 832, 833, 834, 835, and 836. That does capture that entire fleet of Norfolk and Western cars in the 830 series. Now, there were some additional Norfolk and Western cars acquired that fell in the 840 series, 840 through 842, but those were manufactured at a later date, and they did have some external differences as compared to these cars. So, yes, very well done. The only thing that these cars don't illustrate, that many of these cars did illustrate in reality, at least later in their lives, is they were often used in Polar Bear Express excursion service, and had the Polar Bear Express lettering applied on the side of the car, as well as the 2 polar bears facing each other either side of the road number. When you do some research on these cars online, most of the photographs that you can find illustrate that car with the Polar Bear Express motif. Now, looking at the second paint scheme released by Canadian Model Trains here, this later Ontario Northland modern scheme, also known by some as the chevron scheme or the stripe scheme. So predominantly we've got the body painted in a white color with a blue roof, with a yellow stripe followed by 2 different colored blue stripes, and a very striking paint scheme. This is what you predominantly saw used on the Polar Bear Express and such through the 80s, 90s, through the 2000s, and you can still see some of these cars lingering in this paint scheme to this day. So Canadian Mountain Trains had 8 different road numbers commissioned. So in front of you here is car number 850. And we've got car number 851. And in the track behind, we've got car 852. I don't have car 853, so I've got car 854, 855, 856, and 857. So, comparing these cars to the prototype, these are based again on that lightweight coach body style, the CN lightweight coaches, but they don't have that the streamlined sheet metal treatment there on the ends of the cars, and that is accurate as to how the 850 series cars would have appeared. What is not completely accurate is the fact that the 850 series cars were in fact old day-nighter cars, and in a subsequent release by Rapido, they did produce this same road series in the day-nighter car. So to put this car aside here for a second and to show you what that looked like. So you can see, as compared to the other car there in the background, how you've got a much different window spacing and such over the length of the car. You've got quite a large area with no windows immediately adjacent to the door of the car. We'll talk about these day-nighter cars in a subsequent video, but going back to the streamlined coach here for now. Typical high-quality Rapido levels of detail throughout. Again, you've got that etched metal end gate. It's accurate that the ends of these cars were painted yellow, and they've done a great job with the Trillium and the rail services decal there, as well as the provincial flag and crest. So a great car, and until the day-nighter car was produced a few years after this, this was a great representation of Ontario Northland's actual fleet of lightweight passenger cars. So there were subsequent productions of other passenger cars by Rapido, but we will look at those in subsequent videos. Thanks again for your time, and have a good day.